everyone, this is Karen.
Welcome everybody, I am Shane.
Today we're looking at part 1 of You Can Teach an Old Dog New Tricks and Other Incorrect Sayings.
Okay.
And the vocabulary words are describe.
Describe.
Josie described what it was like to swim with dolphins.
Fun.
Ooh.
Drip.
Drip.
Homer ate chicken wings that were dripping with barbecue sauce.
Sweat.
Sweat.
After working out, Hannah was covered in sweat.
Actually.
Actually.
No one is sure what actually caused the accident.
Suitable.
Suitable.
The show is suitable for people of all ages. So, you can teach an old dog new tricks and other incorrect sayings.
Okay, so the first one they're talking about, I don't know, have you heard this one before? The bee's knees?
What's bee's knees?
Well, if you say something is the bee's knees, you mean that it's awesome. It's really cool. It's the bee's knees.
But bees don't have knees.
That's the problem. But I guess in that time they had some cute animal sayings that they didn't make sense.
Yeah.
But they were cute to say, like, ooh, that's the cat's pajamas.
What's the cat's pajamas? What does that mean?
That means it's also really cool or awesome.
So if something's really awesome or amazing, you can just say, oh, that's the cat's pajamas?
Yes.
And that's a bee's knees?
But of course cats don't wear pajamas, so I don't know where this came from. It's really weird. Yeah.
How about that one when they say, oh, sweating like a pig?
Oh, actually, I'm sweating like a pig right now.
I hear that all the time, but did you know that pigs don't actually sweat like us?
Right, so they're not going to be covered in sweat, like dripping with sweat like we are, right?
Yeah.
Very interesting. So there are a lot of these
interesting sayings.
A lot of these animal sayings.
That don't really make sense. Yeah. Or they're a little bit incorrect.
Okay, well, let's learn some more about these sayings.
All right, enjoy.
Enjoy.
You can teach an old dog new tricks and other incorrect sayings. Have you ever described something as the bee's knees? It's a common saying which means something is great or amazing. It also makes zero sense. Bees don't even have knees, let alone great ones. In truth, the phrase was coined during the 1920s when many similarly silly animal sayings like the cat's pajamas were popular. But it's not just our honey-making friends that we talk nonsense about.
Today's lesson is called You Can Teach an Old Dog New Tricks and Other Incorrect Sayings, Part 1. Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff.
And I'm Mike. Yeah, sometimes we use these sayings, this sort of old-time wisdom to pass on a basic idea that we all accept as being true, right? It's a saying that you say, you learned it from your parents and your grandparents. It goes back 100 or more years, so it's got to be good wisdom, good advice. It's got to make sense, right? Well, wrong. Not a lot of these old sayings might hold up. Some of them definitely do, but some of them also, if you think about them or look at them with knowing what we know today, you see that people back then who made up these sayings, they didn't really know what they were talking about some of the time. So we're going to be looking at some of these old sayings and find out which ones are actually kind of crazy, and you can still use the saying, but believing that it's a fact might be a bit of a mistake.
Okay, let's get started. The first sentence of today's lesson asks the following question. Have you ever described something as the bee's knees?
No.
Neither have I. This makes no sense to me at all. What does that even mean?
I don't know. I never liked this expression. It's kind of too cutesy. And yeah, if you think about it, a bee's knees? What? What are you talking about? And why is that good? Generally, when we use the expression, it's the bee's knees. It's great. It's awesome. It's fantastic. It's really, really good. Like,
what does it mean?
The knees of a bee. Oh, so strange. But yes, anyways, we will describe things that are good or things we really like as the bee's knees. What is it to describe? Basically, when you describe something, you're making a picture. You're kind of drawing a picture of something, but you're using words. All right. So generally when we describe things, we use a lot of adjectives. It was tall, it was beautiful, it was magnificent, it was frightening. You might use color words and things like that, you know, to give people an idea in their mind of what they would be seeing with their eyes, but you're not using a painting or a drawing or a picture.
It's in Taipei. It's really tall.
Okay.
It's green.
Yeah.
It's the biggest thing in the city, and it's 101 stories tall.
That would be Taipei 101.
That's a description of Taipei 101. That's me describing.
I didn't have to see it. He drew that picture using words. Let's have a look at our example sentence for the verb to describe. Josie described what it was like to swim with dolphins.
Okay, the bee's knees.
The bee's knees, it's great.
What does this even mean? Well, it's a common saying, which means something is great or amazing. Now, it also makes 0 sense. Like Mike said before, knees on bees? What? Bees don't even have knees, let alone great ones.
Yeah.
So this is all coming together as being just total nonsense.
So obviously an insect scientist, an entomologist, did not make up this expression because it makes no sense in the real world of bees. So where did it come from? In truth, so here's the facts, here's the true story. In truth, the phrase was coined during the 1920s when many similarly silly animal sayings like the cat's pajamas were popular. Oh, so this was a trend. It was a fashion. It was a style of doing things back from the 1920s. And maybe they had some songs with it or poems or funny little rhymes or stories. They were using these strange ideas of animals and things to talk about different stuff.
I thought the bee's knees, I thought that was the worst. That's even worse. The cat's pajamas?
But it's used in the same way to say something is really fantastic. But yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
There you go. Anyways, the next sentence says, but it's not just our honey-making friends that we talk nonsense about. Honey-making friends? Those are the bees. And the sentence, or I should say the phrase, the bee's knees, is nonsense. Anyways, that's not the only nonsense that we talk about. And we'll be learning more about this topic right after a break. Let's get into some nonsense.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。有一些跟动物相关的谚语听起来很不合理，也不正确，可是却一直沿用到现在。那在这2天的课程中，我们就要来介绍一些莫名其妙的动物谚语。第一个是 The bee's knees， 蜜蜂的膝盖。那它是用来描述杰出的或是令人称奇的事物，虽然听起来好像蛮可爱的，可是其实一点都不合理啊！蜜蜂根本就没有膝盖，更不用说是杰出的膝盖了。Mike 老师说，哇，这一定不是昆虫学家所创造出来的谚语。老师说的 entomologist 是昆虫学家，它是拼作 entomologist。那如果把字尾的 ist 改成 y， 就会变 entomology， 那就是昆虫学。好，再来看单字 describe。describe 是动词，表示描述、形容，它的名词是 description， 也是指描述、叙述或是形容。那么课文接着写到说，事实上啊，这个片语是在1920年代创造的。当时有很多类似这种猫的睡衣这种很可笑的动物谚语很流行。那么 the cat's pajamas 猫的睡衣，它其实是指说非常受到尊敬或是很了不起的人事物。好，那这边来看4个重点。第一个是 let alone。Let alone 它表示更不用说是什么，遑论什么什么。这个片语常常会摆在否定句之后，去加强前面的否定陈述，表示说连前面描述的事情都没有了，更不用提示后面的了。例如 Mel can't run a mile，let alone complete a marathon。 Mel 连1里路都跑不完，更不用说是马拉松了。好，那么来比较一个用法是 not to mention，或是 not to speak of， 也可以只说更别说更别提，不过它们常接在肯定的陈述之后。例如 The bakery makes delicious pies and cookies, not to mention its famous cakes。 那间烘焙坊做的派和饼干都很美味，更不用说还有他们家有名的蛋糕了。 第二个重点是 in truth， 它是指事实上、实际上，它就跟 in fact 或者是 actually 意思相同。例如 She said she had cut off all contact with her ex-boyfriend, but in truth, they texted each other every day. 她说她已经跟前男友切断所有联系，但事实上他们天天传讯息。第三个重点是 coin 在这边是当动词，表示创造或者是杜撰，像创造新的词之类的。例如 When was the term FOMO coined？ 错失恐惧症 FOMO 这个词是什么时候创造出来的呢？那么第四个重点是 when 在这边当关系副词，去引导形容词子句来补充说明先行词，那是非限定的用法。when 的前面必须加上逗号。好，举例来说 He was born in 1914 when World War I broke out. 他出生于1914年，那一年第一次世界大战爆发。好，那我们看到先行词1914年，它是特定时间，我们不用去限定它的范围，所以是用非限定用法。when 引导这些关系子句呢，要用逗号把它跟主要子句隔开。那么关系子句 when World War I broke out 是用来补充说明1914年发生了什么事。那接回到课文中。
You can teach an old dog new tricks and other incorrect sayings. Imagine playing soccer on a hot day. You're dripping with sweat. One might say you're sweating like a pig, but pigs don't sweat like people. They can't because they don't have working sweat glands. The saying actually comes from iron smelting. A smelter would know that a piece of pig iron, a crude type of iron, was ready to move when it started to sweat. That is, water beads would form on its surface.
All right, let's get into it. Let's talk some nonsense. Nonsensical phrases like the bee's knees, the cat's pajamas. I'm sorry that I even brought those back up again. They're so nonsensical. Anyways, let's move on. Imagine playing soccer on a hot day. You're running around, kicking the ball around there. It's hot. And you know what? You're dripping with sweat.
Yeah, probably. If you're running around on a hot day, you would definitely be dripping with sweat. If you weren't, that would be kind of scary and not good.
By the way, drip, it's a verb. When a liquid goes drip, 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 or forms little drops, let's say, you can say that thing is dripping. In this particular situation, we are covered with sweat. We have sweat so much that sweat is literally coming off of our bodies or dripping off our bodies in drops. For example, Homer ate chicken wings that were dripping with barbecue sauce. If you pick one up, expect some barbecue sauce to fall off in drops. Yes, drip, drop.
That's right. That's what happens when you have too much liquid on something. It can't all be on it, so it falls or it drips off. And if you have too much liquid like sweat on your body when you're working out or exercising or working on the hot sun, of course you can dry it off with a towel or wipe it off with your hand, but it will end up dripping. But sweat is very normal. It's actually good for you on a hot day because it helps you to cool off. That's what we call that water, all right? We can call it perspiration. It comes out of our skin and it helps to cool our skin, keeping our body nice and safe and healthy at a normal temperature. But that sweat, that liquid perspiration, we wipe it off, it drips off. It's part of life in Taiwan in the summer. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. And we can also, by the way, use this as a verb. When you are out in the hot sun, you will sweat, and that liquid that is produced when you sweat is called sweat. For example, after working out, Hannah was covered in sweat. It was dripping off her, but luckily she had a towel around.
She had a towel, and later on she probably changed her clothes, took a shower, freshened up again so that she wasn't covered in that smelly sweat. Anyways,
what's our sweaty expression?
What's our sweaty, nonsensical expression?
Yeah,
one might say you're sweating like a pig. But bees don't have knees.
Nope.
Cats don't wear pajamas.
Nope.
And pigs, they don't sweat. The next sentence tells us, but pigs don't sweat like people.
That's right. Pigs don't sweat. Dogs don't sweat. They have to cool themselves off in different ways. So if you say, oh, it's so hot, I'm sweating like a pig, you're not, because pigs don't sweat like people.
They can't sweat.
That's exactly right. They can't sweat. They can't because they don't have working sweat glands. Their bodies are not made the same way. Specifically, their skin is not made the same way. So when we say that, sweating like a pig, because of course pigs and humans have lived close together for thousands of years, farmers have noticed, I'm sure, that pigs don't sweat. So why do we say I'm sweating like a pig? Makes no sense.
Pig iron.
Pig iron.
Yeah, the saying actually comes from iron smelting.
Not the animals.
I believe there's something
at
called
all.
pig iron.
Yeah,
And yes, when you smelt iron, you got to melt that stuff down. It gets super hot. That might make you sweat. Anyways, here we have the word actually. Actually means in reality or really. Basically, you use this word to say, okay, something I said before, okay, I said that, but here's the real truth, okay? I know it's surprising, but here is the real truth. So people think, oh, sweating like a pig. That comes from, it comes from the fact that pigs sweat a lot, let's say. And so when we're sweating a lot, we can say that we sweat like a pig. Actually, that's not true. It might be surprising, but something else entirely is true. Anyways, for example, no one is sure what actually caused the accident. Nobody knows what really caused that particular accident.
Interesting. So when we hear that word actually, it's kind of like waving a flag and saying, this might not be the whole truth. These might not be the full facts.
That thing before might not be the entire truth.
Exactly. Yeah. So there you go. It's kind of warning you that you're getting better and more accurate information at some point. So yeah, pig iron. This is in how they used to make iron. You know, that kind of hard metal that we use to build lots of things. A smelter. This is basically someone who makes the pig iron, right? Someone who works in that hot factory. A smelter would know that a piece of pig iron, a crude type of iron, was ready to move when it started to sweat. That is, water beads would form on its surface. So the iron would come out, it would be red hot, and as it cooled down, it would start to produce little bits of water on the surface. That sweat would show that now we can move the iron around.
So the smelter might have been hot, might have been sweating.
He's sweating like a pig.
But that's not where this saying comes from either. The iron itself sweats, so to speak. How cool.
Yeah.
All right, folks, with that, it's time for us to take a break. But don't go away. We'll be back soon.
同学们有没有觉得蜜蜂的膝盖和猫的睡衣听起来很荒谬呢？ Nonsense 这个字可以用来表达愚蠢、荒谬或者是没有意义的想法或言语。那么 Jeff 老师是用到它的形容词，就是把 nonsense 的字尾 e 去掉，再加 ical 变成 nonsensical， 它是形容荒谬的、无意义的。好，下一个要介绍的是 sweating like a pig， 像猪一样在流汗。但是猪并不会像人一样滴汗流汗。那这句谚语其实是来自炼铁，它跟 pig iron 有关。Pig iron 是指铸铁、生铁。那么炼铁的过程中呢，会把这个铁矿石以高温融化，然后再倒入模子去塑形。在冷却过程中，表面就会有很多水珠，好像在流汗一样。那么冶铁的工人呢，看到生铁开始出汗，形成水珠，就会知道说啊，可以准备移开了。好，那这边有3个单字 drip。drip drip 它可以当动词来表达液体滴出来、滴下来，嘟嘟嘟滴下来这样子。那么 sweat 它可以当名词指汗或是汗水，或是当动词来表达流汗、冒汗。那么 Mike 老师说的 perspiration 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 可以指汗水、排汗或是出汗。好，下一个单字 actually 这个副词表示事实上、实际上、其实怎么样怎么样。接回到课文中。
You can teach an old dog new tricks and other incorrect sayings. Another strange saying is cute as a bug's ear. Bugs don't really have ears that we can see, and what we can see certainly isn't cute. This saying came about in the 17th century when cute meant to hear well, which is without a doubt a more suitable term for sharp-eared bugs.
Ain't that the bee's knees, the cat's pajamas? Oh, I'm sweating like a pig. Man, is that ever some good nonsense. Anyways, another strange saying is cute as a bug's ear.
As cute as a bug's ear. Look at that little baby. Oh, she's so cute. She's as cute as a bug's ear.
She reminds me of a part of an insect.
Yeah, the ear of an insect. And then you think about it and you're like, I don't see insects having ears very often, and that's because they don't. As it says, bugs don't really have ears that we can see, and what we can see certainly isn't cute. It's probably like a small hole in the side of their head. It's not really cute or special, or it's even hard to find. So why do we use this expression? It's as cute, or he or she or whatever is as cute as a bug's ear.
Maybe the word cute had a different meaning back in the day, and apparently that kind of explains things. It says this nonsensical saying came about in the 17th century when cute meant to hear well, which is without a doubt a more suitable term for sharp-eared bugs. Sharp-eared, i.e., these bugs could hear well.
Interesting. Anyway, so yes, thinking of cute as meaning hearing well is much more suitable for this expression than thinking of it as, pretty and kind of, lovely in a small childish way. It's more suitable to think of it as hearing well. What is suitable? This adjective means it's appropriate for something. It fits with something. There doesn't seem to be a problem by putting these things together. Often when we talk about what clothes to wear, what's suitable to wear to a fancy restaurant, what's suitable to wear to your friend's party at the beach, these suitable clothing, right? Suitable clothes for the summer temperature and winter weather, well, those would be different. But if it fits, if it works, if it's the one that you would expect to wear, or the one that you would wear knowing that it will be okay, that's the one that is suitable. For example, the show is suitable for people of all ages, okay? So anyone can go. It doesn't have a lot of swearing or violence, so it's suitable, it's okay, it fits for young people as well as old people.
There you have it. All right, folks, with that, today's lesson is now in the books, and it's time for us to say bye-bye.
Take care.
Ta-ta.
好，另外一个奇怪的谚语是 cute as a bug's ear， 像虫的耳朵一样可爱。虫子有耳朵吗？好，就算有，应该也不会是可爱的吧。其实这个说法是出现在17世纪，当时 cute 的意思是听得很清楚。那有些虫子的耳朵很敏锐，用这样来解释，那就会比较合理，比较恰当了嘛。那我们最后来看单字 suitable， 它是形容词，形容适当的、合适的。好，那么以上是今天的讲解，同学们别走开，马上回来哦。
Hello， 各位同学，大家好，我是季安老师。我们今天带大家看简短对话。来，简短对话呢，职业类别继续听关键字 ，OK， 多多的练习。我们看一下第41题这边啊 ，What does the woman say about the man？OK， 女生讲了男生怎么样了 ？OK，arrives at work early， 很早到。His baby is too loud， 他小孩子太大声太吵了。He has been late to work recently， 最近都迟到。He is upset with his wife， 对太太不爽不开心。42呢 ，What is the man's job？ 他男生是干嘛的 ？OK，teacher、doctor、lawyer、nurse， 到底是哪一个呢 ？How many children does the man have？ 怎么会有这么广的问题呢？这男生有几个小孩啊？来，我们注意听一下喽。
Manny, I've seen you come into work late every day this week. What's going on? Teachers aren't allowed to be late for school.
Well, my wife and I just had our second child. This little guy is having trouble staying asleep. He wakes up every few hours.
That's too bad. Have you talked to your doctor about this?
Not yet. We're hoping it's just a phase.
OK， 到这边应该就有听出来了哈。这三题答案是什么 ？CAC 哦，我们再听一次啊。
Manny, I've seen you come into work late every day this week.
I've seen you coming to work late every day this week. 这个礼拜，每天都迟到。
What's going on?
What's going on? 你怎么了？所以第一题是不是就有了 ？He has been late to work recently. 最近呢都迟到啊。
Teachers aren't allowed to be late for school.
Teachers are not allowed to be late for school. 老师呢是不能上学迟到的。
Well, you know my wife and I just had our second child.
My wife and I just had our second child. 我跟我太太最近生了我的第二个小孩。所以呢，这3题啦，就是 C A C。第二个小孩，那当然就是2个小孩咯。Okay, second child. This little guy is having trouble staying asleep. He wakes up every few hours. Okay. 然后最后这边有一个单字哦 ，Not yet. We are hoping it's just a phase. 这个 phase 的话就是一个阶段，希望这只是一个过渡的阶段而已哦，不要一直这样下去，不然真的会发疯。OK， 对啊，小孩子晚上不睡，大人就会发狂。OK， 以上是我们今天的课程内容，我是建安老师，我们下堂课见，拜拜。
See you next time.